Hey guys, today is a little bit different different vlog. It's actually a photo book reaction. When I say photo book, I mean photo magazine. I got this magazine, Silvergrain Classic. It's a spring issue. Now it's almost... I got it in spring, but it took longer time. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, Silvergrain Classic, the cover page by Markus Hofstetter. Really good magazine, I really recommend it. It starts with a foreword of Marwan El-Motzayen. Basically, it talks about how the magazine was built on the heritage of Photo Classic, the German magazine, earlier magazine, and how he and his team learned a lot from that magazine. And it's no doubt, you can see that in the content. This magazine, what I really appreciate is like a mixture of technique, history, and a personal take, and also about art, you know. So it's a good mixture of all the content, and it's really greatly interacted. So let's see. So it starts with an artist of Bruce Barnbaum. He talks about from his own personal perspective how he creates the photos. I think this is really important. Art historians are really important. Their work is super important, cannot be replaced. But you know, sometimes I love to read a personal take on how artist is creating. This guy is creating like macro details, kind of resembles of Weston's work, so that's really good. The only thing that I really don't like in this portfolio is this image. I really hate that image. You know, all the images are kind of like two-dimensional from close, kind of abstract, and then you have this about this photo is horrible. Anyway, it's totally different than all the rest. It really stands out, and this is so much better and so much great. You know, look at that and comparing with that. Anyway, so. Then the magazine continues with Leica Air System, the wrongly ridiculed reformer. This article is written by editor-in-chief Marwan El-Motzayen. I'm sorry, Marwan, I totally disagree. Like, I think that Leica Air 3 that you mentioned here is the worst camera in the world. It's really the worst camera in the world, and I had 3 Leicas Air 3. None of them were working. 2 of them I bought from Oliviero Toscani from when I worked for Benetton. That was in year 2000. I paid like 700,000 liras, which is in today's money like 700, 800 euros. Yeah, I know it's not much, but you know, it's a lot if you're 24 years old. Anyway, they never worked. I was really disappointed. But luckily, I exchanged one Leica R3 for the darkroom easel to Markus Dr. Photo from Trieste. Thank you, Markus. This is I still enjoy working with that easel, much better than the Leica. And the second Leica, I exchanged it for a small compact camera, Rolleiflex compact camera, film camera. And the third Leica I sold for 50 euros to Andrei Wirtz, just because he has another Leica R3 and he just needs it for spare parts. And that's what it is. You know, if you have a Leica R3, buy a second one or third one, so you can, you know, put everything together into one workly camera. But if I'm honest, the electronics of this camera is so horrible that I think it's better than you just, I don't know, make flower pot something, or you know, or hammer or whatever, you know, just, or burn it, you know, maybe has some caloric values for during the winter, but don't use it for photography. It's horrible. Group F64. It talks about Group F64, and what I love about this article, it puts like into perspective how pictorialism started, and then how this new objectivity spring out of that, like out of the modern ages of industrialism and so on. The only thing that I would object, or I would add into it, is that sure, this talks about F64, right? But we have, and if it starts with like a bigger picture of pictorialism and how that modernism came in, and it doesn't mention any European counterparts, because you know that would be, you know, new objectivity in Germany is like new Sachlichkeit, and August Anders, Karl Blossfeld, and others that I don't remember at the moment. You know, they were just their counterparts of Ansel Adams, Weston, Dorothea Lange, and others. So anyway, I think that's missing in a intro. Okay, so that it's a good, and of course it comes to the Ansel Adams and his work, and then we have an article of Ansel Adams. If I'm honest, is this recording? If I'm honest, when I saw this article, I had a facepalm because, you know, there's so much talking about Ansel Adams and Weston. I guess if you're starting a photography and analog photography, you have to start with these giants of photography. I guess so. You know, I'm just like, you know, I'm in photography from forever. And I kind of, I'm sick of hearing the same information, seeing the same images. I have to tell you, when I saw this article, when I started reading, I thought, this guy's found a new take on the evergreen subject. Charisse Schuler and Marwan El Mutzayan, they went together to United States, and they visited how the heritage of Adams and Weston, how it's like echoing in today's time. So it's really good, like some biographical and some art historical facts, information about small little stuff about how B-Mount Newhall visited them, and, you know, Weston and so on. Anyway, so I think that's good. That's really good take. It talks about how Michael Adams and Matthew Adams, and it's actually taking the heritage of their famous grandfather or great-grandfather, and how they're actually, you know, how it's echoing in today's time in the same space where they grew up. Good. Workshops and other stuff. Weston's legacy. I love small stories, you know, like, Coley Weston was telling to Kim that, you know, he ate that pepper, that famous pepper, and every time that Edward Weston said, "Don't eat that vegetable before I photographed it." So, and I love this information that Edward Weston, in his lifetime, he sold a photo with maximum price of $300, and nowadays his photo was sold for $1.6 million. It's kind of good to see how they started, you know, how they didn't have, although they're giants and masters of photography, they struggle just like everybody else. Okay, talking about the Weston, the magazine follows with a Stuart Duff portfolio, and his photographs are obviously a modern take on the same subject as Weston was doing, and I think that's great, you know, to have somebody talking about his history and then come to somebody in contemporary. And of course, again, like some technical details about what kind of lens, what kind of camera he used and other stuff. And also some funny anecdotes. I really love to read that kind of stuff. Rolleiflex, how gear might actually improve your photography. I so much agree with this article. You know, if you check my website, every project is totally different because, you know, I photograph, and then I get bored, and then I change the camera, and I just make something completely different. And this is how I think. This is how I function. You know, I don't recommend it, but I'm just saying that's how I do. And I really know what this article is talking about. How the gear influence. I don't know. It brings inspiration to me. You know, when I'm talking about the gear, also the printing process. You know, like nowadays, digital photographers have only one printing process, which is inkjet on this material, on that material, whatever, but it's only inkjet. Basically a computer drawing. But analog photographers, we have, I don't know, 40, 50 ways of making a photograph. You know, I can do, I don't know, silver gelatin, cyanotype, albumen, salt print, and my favorite of all is carbon print on glass. But what I'm trying to say is, equipment and process really affects your outcome. So, you know, more you have, more you know, the better. You know, it's just like a musician can play only one instrument, perfect. But some people are multi-instrumentalists, you know. Is it one way better than the other? No, not at all.
It's just one, yeah, no.
I think I will make a vlog on this topic. I even highlighted a couple of ideas that are really good. So then the magazine continues with a story of a photo paper or history by Lina Besanova. Lina is a photographer, like Russian Italian photographer. She has a studio in Florence, and she knows a lot about photo paper. Then follows talking about the paper. We come to a portfolio of Akira Murata. Phenomena about a photograph being a physical object, you know, not only an image, it's a physical object, and that's how it's also presented, with the corners, with everything. His photographs as an images, I didn't understood what is that behind it, but because the article is talking more about printing his images, about why the paper is so important in his work and so on. After the artist, we have shooting slide film, talking about the slide films. What's the difference between shooting in color negative or digital or everything? So that's good. How to digitalize at home a film, that's really important and crucial. So really good tips about from experts. The latest is about news with Marco Hofstetter. And his image on the cover page, how he made it. This is also Israeli photographer. Anyway, continues with Anna Niskanen from Finland with her huge cyanotypes. Talking about acetate film. The first Disney films, they are made on acetate layer, on acetate base. And that's basically made out of collodion. And collodion is basically nitrocellulose, which means the cellulose it's nitrated cellulose, which means the oxygen is in the molecule by itself, which means you cannot stop disintegration. It's a natural material, it will disintegrate no matter what. What you can do is just slow down the process of disintegration. Again, scanning for perfectionists, like a high-end scan. And analog. You know, Freemasonries? I never heard that the photographers are organized as a Freemasonry circle. And I think that's great. Analog photographers are organized as... And you know, the interview is actually without a name. Yes. Is it appropriate for Freemasonry? And I think that's great. It's like a fellowship of analog photographers supporting each other, like a
Old school, guys. Old school.
Forget Twitter, Facebook groups, I don't know, Instagram, hashtags. No, let's go back to the Freemasonry. Genius. Guys, you're genius. The magazine finishes with Adele Jackson from UK, New Zealand, and she have done the Solography. So basically, which means a pinhole with silver gelatin, probably, I presume silver gelatin paper inside. Yep, Ilford multi-grade paper with pearl or satin finish. Anyway, so she put it inside. So the idea is like this. Of course, you have to develop paper, right? But if you leave it on the sun for a really long time, like months, and in a pinhole camera, the sheer strength of sun, the energy that hits the paper, turns the silver iodides and silver bromides into metal silver. So that then becomes actually a photo. A weak photo, but a photo that you can scan and use it later. So that's what she did, and she's talking about how to be about this project and how it relates. On the end, 13 or 14 contributors to the issue made a really good issue, and this is a spring issue, and they sent me in the spring, and now it's almost winter and I've done it review. Sorry guys, it takes a long time. I have another magazine to review, analog forever. I will do it. Hopefully this year. Hopefully. It takes a long time, you know, it takes like whole day. Just like go through the... Guys, I'll be honest with you, don't send me stuff for reviewing. It takes way too long time. I thought it would be done like that, and I just have so much printing to do. I don't think I can do it. Like this, whoever have sent me this light, it's a really good light. It's really, really good. I love it because you have different filters, and I was using it in a dark room. It's splash proof. It's really, really good stuff. And I wanted to make a review, like a really, and it's really high tech also, like you can, with the phone and Bluetooth, whatever. Anyway, the thing is, it has a one weak point. You see, this is a charging cable and needs like a magnetic charging cable. And I lost that magnetic charging cable. And it's now worthless. Such a good piece. Anyway, so I'm not going to review that. Do you get it? Don't send me stuff for review.
I'm really bad at it.
Nevertheless, I hope you enjoyed the review. Please subscribe. Thank you to my Patreons. Thank you for supporting me. I have so much stuff to do. Like this past week that I was gone, I made so much. It's really like stuff that you do once in your, or maybe twice in your lifetime. I'm doing it second time. You will see later. It's following. Like huge stuff. No, I'm not making babies. I have 3 babies already, so.